You are watching an episode in our Landlording A to Z series, where we walk you through the steps, skills, and challenges involved with residential rental real estate investing. We share our expert advice, including the tips, tricks, and strategies we've learned over years of managing rental property. Please subscribe to our channel to get notified each time a new episode comes out, and please like and share our content with people you know who might be interested. Thanks for watching.
Hello, you have Chris and Eli here with Landlord Gurus. Today we are doing episode 12 of our Landlord Gurus Landlording A to Z series. And today what we're covering is maintenance. So in the lead up in this series, the A to Z series, we've covered all the way from should you buy a rental to begin with to choosing it, finding tenants, getting them signed in. The last one was the move-in process. So now you've got tenants in your unit, and we're going to talk about just some tips on how to manage maintenance that we think make things run smoothly and ultimately save money. So today we're going to talk about using a maintenance checklist. And by that, we mean a checklist of items that you go through and you make sure that you cover on a regular basis. That will mean that your property is well taken care of, appealing, and that will help you avoid problems that come up, can come up unexpectedly. So Chris, you want to lead us in with maintenance checklist?
Yeah, and let's just remind everyone to do all the things, like and subscribe and get your notifications. So yeah, we will begin with the maintenance checklist. As Eli was saying, you might be tempted to try and kind of get around or avoid some of the costly routine maintenance inspections or maintenance tasks, right? You've got your tenant in there, they're paying rent, knock on wood, and everything's going great. But yeah, you kind of want to stay on top of the routine repairs. Like you said, it'll just save money in the long run. So we've created a series of maintenance checklists that we've posted on our website, and we will include the links to that in this video. But basically, we've broken down the types of maintenance into distinct categories. The first one, I believe, is plumbing, and we'll get through some of the rest. But yeah, Eli, why don't you go ahead and take over the plumbing issues?
Yeah, so I'll take plumbing, and it's at the top of the list because plumbing problems can be some of the worst for a landlord to face. Costly, and the damage and disruption can be very expensive if you do have water or even worse, sewer problems. So we're going to run through these pretty quickly in the interest of brevity, but the plumbing issues we suggest that you monitor regularly are one, water heaters. They do have a finite lifespan, and don't make them like they used to. In this case, that's true. So record the date of purchase and schedule when 10 years out or whenever it is reasonable to believe that that's still going to be within its lifespan and you're not going to flood your place.
Yeah, don't wait for it to leak before you do that.
No, I've done it, and it's not a good idea. It's always the one on the second floor that
Yeah,
decides
exactly.
it's going to fail. It's never the one on the first floor. Yeah. So another one I think a lot of people will commonly overlook is preemptive cleaning of the main sewer line and the main waste line and the stacks, the vertical part of it, of the main line. In most buildings, it's 4 inches that goes up through the building and picks up everything as it goes. So the gold standard is water jetting from the top of the stack, which is actually at the roof, and that just blasts everything out, all the grease and crud, anything that might have settled a little bit, and just gets it out of there. Keeps other solids from hanging up on that and accumulating a blockage, which then is an emergency and is expensive. Scoping the main drain. This is something to do when you have the opportunity to, when you're jetting or when you have to clear a drain. Have your router company, or you can rent cameras now pretty cheaply. So you got a camera that shows you what's down there. Are there roots? Is there a big pile of rocks somewhere? I had that happen not too long ago. So know what's down there, and in the interest of either jetting more often or saving up to get in there and replace that old concrete line.
You're talking about scoping the main sewer line, like
sewer line,
the building to the street. Is that right? Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And it's amazingly common and easy now to get that done. So, bathroom sinks. The most common thing is hair and soap buildup in the P trap. So I try to clean them between tenants so that I know if a new tenant comes along and it has a drain clogged, that's on them. They've let a bunch of crud go down there, and that they will need to be charged. They're going to be charged for that. So that's a tough one, but if you can do that, it's good in between tenants. And also, when you have a new tenant coming in, I have them turn the water on just to demonstrate in all the sinks and the tub, like, hey, everything's draining. So
yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Leak detection. Leaks under sinks and under kitchen and bathroom sinks are common, either drainage or water supply, just a drip. Can go unnoticed, or even ignored by tenants. So they're little devices you can get down under there that'll beep at you or even alert an app. And it saves you money if you're wasting water.
Right.
Leaky fixtures. At any turnover and every routine inspection, check all your fixtures, make sure that the faucets aren't dripping, there's nothing under the sinks, the toilet's not running. We've gone to ways to detect that in other places, but look at shower heads. And I'll throw in here just one kind of pro tip. This is one of my pet peeves. Garbage disposals go bad all the time, so I just take them out. And I would just wait until they failed and then take them out. I think it's not even a bad idea to just take them out preemptively. People don't know how to use them. And so they either don't use them and they rust shut, or they let stuff pile up in there and then it clogs, or they put too much crud down there.
Eggshells and coffee grounds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The old myth that eggshells actually sharpen the grinder blades. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
Okay. So that's what I got for plumbing.
All right. Yeah. And then we'll move on to real quick, safety and security. So installing and maintaining safety and security products at your property protects both your tenants and it protects your property. So it's a good idea to do. There's lots of ways to do it, lots of places you can do it. You don't have to do everything, but consider doing what you can. So doors, make sure the doors to all the units are solid on their hinges and they close securely, and the hardware and locking mechanisms all function properly. And we recommend having deadbolts on all the doors, exterior doors. Next, rekeying, whether required to or not. And it depends on where you are. Some places do require you to rekey between every turnover. But even if they don't, we do recommend changing keys at every turnover to protect your tenants and your property. Or we talked about this last time, Eli has installed the keyless security systems where you can change the code anytime someone comes in. So change those. You don't want keys and codes floating around and unknown people coming in. The windows, make sure all the windows latch securely. So you can provide adjustable stops, or the simple ones are those wood dowels that you just put on the sliders, sliding windows and patio doors that just keep them from opening all the way. Lights and cameras. So this is one that might be a little more costly, but could be worth it, especially like here in Seattle. We've experienced, I'm sure Eli, you've had this, a lot of property crimes at the rentals. And so it's a good idea. You can install lights, cameras, motion detectors, everything like that. And we've talked about this before, and there's other videos we have on this, but those are some of the measures that you can take to protect your property and to protect your tenants. And, people like to see that it's there.
Yep. And next we've got rental property pest control, depending on the circumstances, can be complex or not. I manage a building that also has a restaurant in it. So anyway, a lot of the time it's best to just have a professional company that does it on a routine basis and knows what they're doing and is consistent. So the basics of pest control are to eliminate entry points. There are various ways of doing this. If any little hole, pests can get in very small areas. Filling them, blocking them with something that can't be chewed through, foam with a wire mesh in it sometimes works, or a steel wool is what a lot of the pest control people will fill little holes with. When you've got exterior bait, we don't recommend, well, first of all, make sure any exterior bait is in a pet and child safe container. And generally that's it for rodents. Sometimes, insects or ants, there'll be little gel traps and that type of thing that you can place outside. Interior, try real hard to avoid this, or there's some real innocuous traps for ants and that type of thing, so you can use that type of thing. Bed bugs and fleas. Bed bugs are a bigger issue these days, it seems like. Just ask them in Paris. I don't know how they're doing with it now, but they've been struggling with it. They can get established in places where there's carpet or bedding or a lot of soft surfaces. So again, often necessary to enlist the help of a professional. They'll come in and bring temperature areas up to high heat. Fun fact is that dogs are the cutting edge of bed bug detection, so they actually bring them in to sniff them out. So Chris, you had that done, didn't you?
Yeah, we've experienced this before, but we've got another video about that, and can put a link to that, and you can.
There you go. Yep.
The gory details. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, that's it for pest control.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then, exterior wise with maintenance, you got roofs and gutters. If they fail, right, they can cause extensive damage, with the water leaking through or getting into the property inside. And, it can obviously lead to all kinds of things, but you can avoid a lot of the big stuff pretty easily with routine inspection and maintenance. So with your roof, just, visually inspect your roof once a year. Look for the loose flashing, or water can get behind, or moss growth, or broken or missing shingles, things like that. And if you've got a larger building, you might just want to have it professionally inspected by by a professional roofer, you might not want to get up there. I certainly don't want to get up there myself very often. It's
No.
scary. And then gutters and downspouts, right? It's only the same thing. If water doesn't get through the gutters and doesn't get through the downspouts, it's going to go somewhere else. That's the thing about water. It's going to find the path of least resistance, and that often can be inside. So have those gutters and downspouts cleaned at least once a year. Fall is a good time before the heavy rains start, before the leaves start falling and accumulating in the gutters.
Or after the leaves have fallen.
Or yeah, do it then as well. Once a year is generally adequate. So
yeah. So okay, and then carrying on with kind of exterior maintenance elements to keep your eye on and check on routinely. Have your chimney inspected, visually inspect your chimney regularly. Just check to make sure the mortar looks like it's solid, that it isn't missing. That's a sign that the structure of the mortar is the glue. So if that's starting to erode, it's a sign that the chimney may not be as structurally sound as it once was. Even sometimes you can see loose bricks or missing inadequate flashing. You want to see flashing that's tight to and sealed in at the chimney. That's a common leak area, is where water gets down between the chimney and the flashing. Window and door sealant. All of these sealants are great, but they are UV sensitive. So inspect between trim and siding, for example, around doors, anywhere where you've got exposed sealant. If it's cracking or pulling away, either refresh it or remove and replace it, and then get it painted again, because the paint does protect it. And just in general on paint, replace paint before it starts bubbling or peeling or cracking, because otherwise you'll have to get all of that off and chase anything that's loose all the way to out until it's solid, and then prime and start over again. So it's much better to be preemptive about painting. Don't let the paint fail, because you'll have a much bigger job on your hands.
Yeah, good point. Okay, next we'll talk about fire safety and fire safety prevention, or fire prevention checklist. So fire safety and prevention obviously is super important. So, again, a lot of this common sense. Make sure you have the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, and you're required to in your lease as well, when you hand it over to the tenant. But research and know how often you're required to replace them. A lot of smoke detectors may only last 5 or 10 years now, but they'll usually have a date printed on there when they're how long they're going to last. So keep note and get those replaced when you need to. Test them at every turnover. You just push the button, make sure that works. And at every turnover, as well as every inspection. If you do an annual inspection, do that then. And then in the lease, like the standard lease, at least the ones that I've seen, state that it's the tenant's responsibility to replace the batteries in those smoke detectors and carbon monoxide units. And if it's not in the lease currently, make sure you put that in there. It's for your own good, for their own good, and for all the other tenants' own good as well. So
I've seen leases that have a checkbox for is the responsibility of the tenant or is not, and never. So I want to make sure that it's specified is their responsibility, and I actually speak to it as well. When we're doing a walkthrough with them, I say, look, you're responsible, and I don't want to see, that thing dangling with no battery in it. So anyway.
Yep. No, exactly. Fire extinguishers. So, find out where you have to have them required.
Generally one a unit.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or, you might need them in common areas as well. Exterior. Yeah, it just depends. But make sure that they are recertified and, rejuiced if it's every year or whatever it is. And sometimes like every 5 or 10 years when you got to replace the entire thing, I think. Just know what those dates are, and you want to make sure that they're working when they're needed, and hopefully they're never needed, but when they are, that they do work. And then escape ladders. So even when it's not required, we do recommend providing those escape ladders for the units up on the higher floors, or at least above the first floor, so that the tenants know where they are. They understand that they're there for a reason, and if they need to, they can pull them out and use them to get out in case of fire. So it's a good idea to have.
Put them on your property condition report. So that everybody knows that, yes, there is the one there on the way in, and then you check to make sure it's still there on the way out. I've lost them. And then we got HVAC, heating and cooling maintenance checklist. Generally, at least once a year, you want to have a professional come out, and they'll do things like clean the burners if it's a gas furnace, and check igniters and that type of thing. You and or the tenant can handle the furnace filters, which need to be replaced regularly. And during, heavy usage times, they recommend once a month. It increases the efficiency of the unit, and it increases the lifespan of the furnace. Duct cleaning is another aspect. And just having ducts cleaned every 3 to 5 years definitely improves the indoor air quality. So something to consider. A little bit of a hard pill to swallow in terms of expense, but it's good. And you may avoid having somebody with allergies. So
Yep. Make sure you have your ducks in a row. Dry, dryer vents and hoods and fans. We'll talk about that. So, clogged dryer vents reduce, again, same thing, reduce efficiency and are a fire hazard. So make sure you get those cleaned out. Kitchen hoods, they get clogged with grease and you reduce their ability to exhaust smoke and smells and everything else. And additionally, bath fans, they suck up dust from the air and they become clogged and they're ineffective. So all of these will belong on your maintenance checklist as well. So with the dryer vents, make sure you get those cleaned, make sure they're unclogged. They get full of lint and whatever, then it leads to fires and happens all the time. So make sure the tenants know how to clean the lint filter in the dryer every time. It's probably the way to do it. Hood and fan cleaning, same thing. Bath and your kitchen venting should also be cleaned. Clean those vent screens on the hood in your kitchen to avoid the buildup of grease. The easy way to do it is turn over, just take those fan covers and hood filters and run through the dishwasher. Cleans them right up. And if needed, you can get replacements, Home Depot, everywhere else. So do it.
All right. Well, that is the gamut of our checklist of items to keep your eye on and actively manage in the interest of keeping your property in good shape, heading off any potential catastrophes that could have been avoided or foreseen. And the takeaway really is just to be methodical and deliberate and thorough about maintaining your property. Having a checklist, putting some things on your calendar can make it easy to do a much better job than just kind of having all this stuff floating around in your head. And so be intentional about it. We'll post links to our checklists, and we did a 3-part series, 3 articles on all these subjects that we've just covered. So we'll link to those as well. And again, we hope that you will share, follow us so that you get the next episodes that are coming up. And Chris, what is our next episode? Oh, choosing vendors.
Yeah, all this stuff that you got to fix now.
Right. Yeah. How to find your vendors. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.